Hey everyone, welcome to the latest installment of MSP Business School. I'm Brian Doyle, and with me as always, we've got Rob Rogers and Tim McNeil. What's going on, boys?
Same old, same old. How you doing?
Doing great, Brian.
Guys, jump in, show some energy, man.
Brian, you're looking very tanned. Have you gone anywhere? Are you looking good there, sir?
I can be a bronze god, man. Don't kid yourself. Don't let that name Doyle really throw you off. Actually, it's kind of funny. My wife and one of my daughters are extremely fair complected, and I always tell them, yeah, that's why I married your mom, so I always look like I'm buff. The only problem is the tanner I get, the whiter my hair gets, but that's neither here nor there. Nobody wants to hear about my problems, or certainly not my tan, which does have garbage man characteristics for those that are on
That's
video.
fine. That's fine.
We all got it. We all got
it. What we really are going to talk about today is going to be one of our roundtable sessions. And what we're going to talk about today really is a little bit about cross-selling and upselling, right? How can salespeople really maximize the white space that's in front of them? And this is an area that, Tim and Rob are certainly experts in. So I'm looking forward to kind of getting their thoughts on this because, certainly from an account management position, what are we always looking at? Identify where the gaps are, fill them up with those projects and services that we have within our stack and and get that next step with our customers, really like to hear what your perspective is, from that, really in how do we grow revenue with our existing client base? How do we make sure we're not missing opportunities? So
yeah,
with that, I'm going to step back for a moment. I'm going to let you guys have the floor.
Okay, I'll start it off. So white space analysis, right? That's the new phrase. Back in our day, Brian, well, back in my day, I don't know how far you go back, but back in our day, it was called a gap analysis, right? And basically you're looking to see what products or services are missing with your current client deck. So you literally just build a grid and you have all your clients on one, on the x-axis, and then all of your products on the other, and you just see who's missing what. And then that's the white space that you have to attack. But it's gotten a lot more developed and a lot more complicated than it used to be. It used to be just go and start calling and, good luck. That's the way it was. Now you have to kind of understand a lot more to it. What is going to be the quickest revenue for you? What's the most profitable? What is the best that gets into your stack, right? So like who's missing inside the stack core that you have that just hasn't gotten there yet? And that's where it really starts to make a difference in the cross-sell, upsell, is understanding exactly what you have to attack first, what's going to be the quickest to get and increase your revenue and profitability inside of your client deck there. So, that's what we're trying to talk about here today.
Yeah. And just to add to that, I mean, this a white space analysis really can be done at multiple times through your journey as an MSP, right? If at a later date, we'll talk about the sales maturity app that we're starting to develop, but a part of it is helping MSPs figure out when that right time is to do that white space analysis and see what that stack is. See, the best example I can give is when Rob and I got into the industry back in 08, 09, whatever, 2010, whatever it was. This is something that we actually did back then, right? We had legacy clients that had signed up 5, 6, 7 years prior, and not everybody was on the same technology stack. And there was a tremendous amount of money being left on the table by not attacking that. I mean, it's a low risk way to grow your revenues and specifically grow your MRR in your current client deck. And again, that can happen at different time points. It could be a scenario where you bring somebody on to get that extra revenue so that you can hire your first hunter, or it could be when you have your first hunter after they're into that seat, then you take a step back and you start adding things, right? I mean, it's a really effective way at a little bit lower risk to increase your revenues much more efficiently.
Yeah. And, just to piggyback on that, this is an annual strategy. So you develop this in month 1. you review it every quarter and you make sure that you're still on the right track. This isn't something you just, like to Timmy's point, you don't just do this once and then, that's it. Every single year you're doing this, you're evaluating your white space and understanding what you have to attack in a prioritized manner. So, you build your sales plan on an annual basis, you review the strategy on a quarterly basis, and then you review the tactics on a monthly basis. And that's how you analyze and develop a plan to, attack that white space.
I think you would have to have some sort of regular cadence like that, because as we know, stacks change, product affiliations change, and of course, technology is ever changing, right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if you're not staying on some regular cadence to understand how people are stacking up against your standards, and that there's certainly tools like that built into a lot of the QBR platforms, like VCIO toolboxes as well.
Mhm.
You really want to make sure that you're capturing that from time to time and staying on top of it, because one of the things that we always talk about is client rating as well in our platform. And part of the reason you're stack ranking your clients, it's not to identify who are the great ones and who are the problem ones. You probably got a good sense of that. But where's the opportunity sitting in the middle that you're stepping over? Where's
Right.
that $1,000 a month customer who's poised to grow, but also embraces IT and executes when you want them to. So now as you add that new product into the stack, really those are the people you should be going to first, because it's going to be a nominal incremental jump, but it's going to add revenue probably without any heavy lift to your stack. And more importantly, it's going to give you those referenceable clients you're going to need when you move upstream to your bigger players who want to know how it's actually working. So, I think that concept of client rating and white space, those two things really go hand in hand, because you're really, both of those exercises are to try to uncover value where it's falling through the cracks.
Yeah. Well, to that point, to the value point, they're like anything, people have different ideas of what an account manager is, right? Meaning how many accounts can they really handle? There is a school of thought and a segment of MSPs that they really are looking for that white glove. And in their scenario, that account manager may only be dealing with 12, 15, 18 clients on a yearly basis. What Rob and I have a little more experience on and have seen work as successfully, maybe more successfully, just purely from a revenue standpoint, is having an account manager that's really focused on anywhere from 50 to 75 clients at any given time. Now that's got to be extremely processed out, and it does not happen overnight. But it's really just an efficient way to be able to create more revenue within your current client deck. And we have seen account managers come into that seat with as little as 25 clients at an MSP, and then just grow that revenue. And then again, like I mentioned before, hopefully get to a point where you can justify bringing on a hunter and bringing on more targets on a monthly basis.
Beautiful. And that's really a big part of this too, right? As you're doing these exercises, why do we all do them? It's to understand what the forecast looks like for our business and when we can execute on those operational needs we have internally too, right? So if you're starting to feel the stress on the help desk, you're starting to feel the stress on your engineering teams, but you're not seeing the revenue production that you require in order to make that next hire for your organization, this could be a great way to uncover some new opportunity that at least you can get into the funnel and really start looking at as something that can help supplement that long term as well. Yeah. So, all of these exercises, right? There's the old adage, sales is what drives the bus, right? We need to bring in the revenue in order to drive the operations in our business. But, when we look at that, oftentimes we just really focus on that new client acquisition piece, right? And we're not looking inside. I've got a funny story, and I may have said this on the show before. So if I did, fast forward, listener. But when I was working back, when I first got into IT, it was during the .com boom, and I was in an organization that grew from 8 customers to 52 customers, and then we slid back down. 8 employees to 52 employees, and we slid back down to 8 employees. And my boss came up to me and said, "We can't make payroll Friday." And I was about 27 years old, and I needed payroll. That really wasn't an option for me at that stage, right? So, so basically I looked at all my existing clients, I looked at the products we sold, and I basically did this white space analysis in a much more informal term. Then I went out and did a road trip, and I got clearance that I could discount down 10% from our normal prices to bring in whatever I could. And we literally did a road show, myself and my engineering partner, to 10 customers in 3 days, and we sold about $350,000 worth of projects and services that we were able to bring into the company. Didn't save the company long term, but it did buy me a paycheck for another 6 to 8 weeks while we figured out our next move. But the point is, conceptually, it was like, where are we going to get money? Well, we're certainly not going to acquire clients during that time. So where can we do it? Let's lay out our clients. Let's do an exercise, which is now formalized in a more white space, and say, hey, who's got things upcoming that maybe we can reel in if we can work a deal, or if we're willing to give up a little bit of the profit in exchange for
the low-hanging fruit
flow.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, and that at the core of it, that's all it is, right? It is just trying to find that low-hanging fruit. But if you're a company that has 75, 100, 125, 150 clients, and you have your reps out there, your account managers trying to like do the QBRs, trying to handle, client, issues and things like that, sometimes the white space analysis gets lost, right? And they get so caught up in the day-to-day stuff and putting out the fires and doing all that kind of stuff in the reactive side of account management that they forget to do the proactive side, which is the anticipation of what could happen in the future. And that's where this thing comes into play and helps build you out that sales plan or that sales roadmap for your reps. And there's so much money being left on the table that you don't realize it until you go in and really deep dive and analyze what's going on, that you're like, oh my goodness, I had no idea. Because everybody's always thinking about end of life stuff. They're thinking about the computer refreshes and they're thinking about things like that, but they don't think about what's missing inside of their periphery. All right. They're, all the stuff that's not in their core stack. So that's what this really helps. We found great success in increasing profitability by doing this.
Yeah, I can give you a real life example that I just ran across not that long ago. Within the last 3 or 4 weeks, I had a prospecting call with an MSP in New York. Really good guy, really good company. They were in a scenario where a lot of younger companies are. They lost a client that was 20% of their revenue. And initially, when I talked to this person, it was about bringing on a full-time sales rep. And, after learning just kind of their history, I said, well, look, you're not ready for a sales rep, essentially. And I explained to him things that he could do along the way to increase his revenues internally quite easily. And his response to me was, well, we already did a white space analysis. And I was like, well, okay, explain to me how you did it. And he said, they lost their client, which was 20% of their revenue. He didn't want to let anybody go. That was his goal. He wanted no people leaving unless they left on their own, right? That's different, obviously. He created a white space analysis on his own. He went to all of his clients individually, upsold anybody that he could, got everybody on the same stack. He recovered almost all of that 20% within the rest of his client deck, didn't have to lay anybody off. And not only that, he is now put himself in a position where he is actually more profitable than he ever has been in the history of his company.
Yeah, it's just.
I mean, it was in it. I remember, I was on the call. It was just. I told him, I was like, man, you have done absolutely everything right. I was like, that's absolutely amazing. And just keep doing what you're doing. And I'd love you to be a client of ours someday. You're on the right path, kind of thing. So
I'll tell you, one of the worst things that, we can hear as a company or as a sales rep is, oh, I didn't know you guys did that, as they're walking out the door. It's the worst, right? So when you do this white space analysis and you go and you start attacking that plan, it makes all the difference. You never want to have to, gosh, boy, if I had to go when I was working and, I was working for somebody else, if I would have had to go to them and say, yeah, they didn't know that we did that. Ooh, Ooh, bad news bears. It's the worst, man. And you feel like such a schmuck, like oh gosh, it's the worst. I hate that.
Yep.
So, and this helps that this, get ahead of it, be proactive, look at what you have to do, attack what will be most profitable and the quickest hits for you, and then just go and just start, reviewing the plan on a quarterly basis, and you'll be okay.
And you know what, you can use things like your email list to set the table for these discussions too. Take the things that you're in your stack, highlight one of the key features in them each week as part of your marketing drip campaigns. And to Rob's point, that customer that said, I didn't know you do that. Well, Jesus, that, take a platform like mine that's got a number of different features in it. I hear that all the time. Hey, I didn't know that you can get there, right? So, that's part of our strategy, is really just saying, hey, Mr. Customer, here's what's in our stack available to you. Maybe you didn't know it. Maybe you already have it, but you're not using it to a maximum level.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you're kind of dripping it out there, you're going to get conversations that spark up, and some of that white space will come right back to you as well, before you even have to go attack it. So
yeah, it's good. Totally makes
You know
sense.
what I mean? And let's call it what it is. If any MSPs in a peer group today, that stack management discussion is happening all the time. It's how do we get our customers to our standards? How long are we going to acquire and let them stay on their existing standards? And how do we, make things more efficient? So, if you don't have this white space analysis piece into it, you're probably missing the boat anyway. You're not really doing stack management to its fullest.
Yeah. I totally agree. And here's the thing. Sometimes, it's stack, and sometimes it's not the stack, right? I mean, like, nobody would consider their VoIP platform that they're, selling on the side as part of their original stack, right, for their client deck. But it's pretty important as well. And, one of the things about VoIP is you can put it inside of your MSP contract and turn that 3-year deal into a 5-year deal. That's one of the ways that you can increase the value of a contract, is because most VoIP deals are 5 years. So you can throw both of them in there and put that annual escalator in there, and you've kind of locked them in. So there's just different ways that you can look at these things and really try and maximize your dollars, because an account that you already own is significantly easier to close and faster to close than going out there and trying to hunt.
Well, I mean, we always talk about it, right? The cost of acquisition far exceeds the cost of, internal selling. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, the more services and products you have, the better. It's just,
So I think we've covered off pretty heavy on this topic at this stage.
Yep.
Rob, Tim, do you have any closers that you want to throw out there before we wrap things up for today?
I'll go.
That's you. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Okay, that's fine.
silence.
I'm in. Hey,
Silence.
I've never met a microphone that I didn't want to talk into, so it's okay. Look, the easiest money that you can get is an account management side. Make sure that your account manager is not your technician. There's a difference between a technical account manager and a client account manager. Technical account managers are more focused on solving problems. Client account managers are more focused on increasing the value of the client, right? So, and I don't mean that in a mean way, but client account managers, they get paid on commission, right? So they are out there looking for those things. So just be careful when you're trying to use your technical account manager as your client account manager. They're completely different types of personalities and their ability to bring in higher value deals. So that would be one thing. And number two, do a white space analysis or a gap analysis. If you can't figure out how to do one, there's plenty of stuff online. Brian, I know you have one. I know Audit has one. We have one, and we'd be more than happy to give it to you so you can, go out there and start trying to do it yourself and understand where's the profit, how fast is that profit going to close, and then how quickly you can turn those things around so you can move on to the next thing, right? And these are all calls that have to be made. You can't do this through an email. Right. This has to be calls in your QBRs. And that's where these things are most successful. So that's what I would, close with.
Yeah. And I guess the one thing I would add is, we talked about how to go about all of this, right? Just know that to start off your initial white space analysis, if you're a younger MSP, look, it's probably the owner who's doing this. So just understand that. Like at some point, you want a full-time person in that seat, but it may not happen right out of the gate. So just know that as the owner of the MSP, you may need to do this. But you bring the most credibility. So you've got a distinct advantage to increasing that revenue in a safe way, in the safest way possible. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, very true. Brian, you have any closing thoughts before I kind of like take this home?
No, I think you guys have really covered off on everything. I think we've brought as much as we can to this topic. Message, as you have both said, if you're not doing it, get out there and do it.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. It's just one of those things you have to do.
You're leaving opportunity and value for your customer on the floor.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, fellas. Well, I appreciate you jumping on the call with me for this one, the white space analysis. And, we'll be putting this up on our LinkedIn as well as MSP Business School and on YouTube as well. And that's it for this episode, fellas. I wish you guys all the best and talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks.